Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. My name is Danielle. I'm so grateful that you are stopping by. I love to talk about affordable living and intentional homemaking. And today on the channel, we're gonna be doing some homemaking. We are gonna be making two different types of pie. So if you are getting ready for Thanksgiving and you're not really sure what you wanna bake yet, I hope these two different types of pie are great inspiration for you. I'll have the recipes linked down below for you to go over. And yeah, let's get into baking because I am ready for some Thanksgiving pie. So we're gonna begin with our pumpkin pie, and the very first thing that you want to do is get your pie crust together because this is gonna need to be chilled. So you're gonna start off with 1 1/4 cup of flour, 1 tablespoon of sugar, a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and then you're gonna take some really cold butter. I actually had mine in the freezer for like maybe 30-40 minutes before I took it out for this. So you're gonna take a cup of butter, which is 1 stick, and you're gonna grate it into your food processor so that you can blend it all together. Once the butter is in, you're gonna have a 1/4 cup of ice cold water, but you're not gonna pour it in all at once. You're gonna put it in a little bit at a time. So you can see me here, I am putting it into the food processor and then mixing the mixture up. And I do this several times until the entire 1/4 cup of ice water is completely distributed throughout the mixture. Now I will say this, the only thing that I wish I had done a little better was to continue to allow the mixture to mix in the food processor until it became more of a harder dough. I end up making it a dough with one of my tricks that I will show you right here, which is essentially to put some plastic wrap down on your counter, drop all of the dough into the plastic wrap, and then actually use the plastic wrap to form the dough ball. This is super easy to do. It's kind of an easy way to take more of that sand-like mixture and form it into a strong ball without losing any of the pieces. And once you have that completely formed into your dough ball, you're just gonna stick it right into the fridge and let it chill for at least a 1/2 hour. Because I was doing a couple of things that day, I think mine sat in the fridge for maybe 2 hours, but at least a 1/2 hour. And then you're gonna start making the filling. And the filling is gonna start off with 3 eggs. I love to use organic farm fresh eggs because they're always the tastiest. And then a can of 15-ounce pumpkin puree. You can pour all of that in there and just whisk up your mixture so that your eggs are fully incorporated. And then you're gonna do a cup of milk. I did coconut milk for this day because honestly, it was one of the only things we had left in our home. We didn't have any real milk, but you could use a cup of real milk. I just wouldn't use something thin like a skim milk. I would use either a 2% or a whole milk. You're gonna get the best out of that. Once you've whisked that all up, you're gonna add 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar, a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1 1/2 teaspoons of pumpkin pie spice, and a teaspoon of vanilla. And again, just whisk that up until it is fully incorporated together. This is a super easy filling to make and only takes a few minutes to put together. Once your dough has been nicely chilled, you're gonna lightly flour your work surface. Place your dough out onto the work surface, lightly flour your rolling pin, and roll it out to a large enough circle to fill your entire pie tin. I love this rolling pin trick where you can just roll the dough straight over the pin, which helps you to lift it up without breaking it at all. And then you're just gonna place it into your pie tin here. And I was trying to be fancy, let's be honest. I'm not a pie connoisseur. I don't make a ton of pies. So this is me learning just as much as it is me teaching. So I was trying to make little fancy flares with my fingers there around the edge, crimping it. And then I added all of my pie mixture into the pie. Now I already had my oven preheating at 425 degrees and I placed my pie in there for 15 minutes. And after 15 minutes, I dropped the temperature down to 350 and I continued to bake this pie for an additional 50 minutes. I did the toothpick test to make sure that the pie was completely cooked through, and then I took it out and put it on a cooling rack. Don't worry if it looks a little bubbly or domey at the top, it will settle once it cools. So the next pie we're gonna start making is our apple pie. And to start with this one, you're actually gonna make the filling first so that the filling can sit to the side and really soak up the sugar and the juices. So start with 6 to 8 apples. I actually used 7 apples and it ended up working out perfectly. And you're going to peel all of the apples. Once you have your apples peeled, you're gonna chop them up. So what I did a couple of years back, because I actually really enjoy to make apple crisp for Thanksgiving, is I bought an apple core and I love this thing because it is super simple to use. You just pop it down, you pull the core out, and then you take all of the slices and add them to your bowl. So I did that for all 7 of my apples and then placed all of them into the bowl. Once you have your bowl together, you're going to add a 1/4 cup of flour to your mixture, a 1/4 cup of sugar, a 1/4 cup of browned sugar, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and then a tablespoon of vanilla. And when you're finished with that, just mix that all up and place it to the side. Now we're gonna start on our pie crust. This is basically the same recipe as the first pie crust. It's just doubled because you need to be able to make a top and a bottom for this particular pie. So you're gonna use 2 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour and place that into your food processor. Add 1 tablespoon of sugar. You're gonna do an entire cup, so 2 full sticks of cold butter. This I did not have the opportunity to put into my freezer, but I did chop it up a little bit earlier and then placed it in the fridge for about a half hour. And then once again, you're going to use that 1/4 cup of ice cold water or 7 tablespoons. So that's what I did for this one. If I'm being honest, I tried both techniques, if you will, one with the grated butter, one with the cube butter, one with just pouring the water in, and then one with using a tablespoon to measure out putting the water in. And honestly, I feel like pouring the water in was much easier. This was very grainy. And again, I probably could have left it in the food processor a little bit longer. You can see here again, I'm using my trick with the plastic wrap to put all of my dough into the plastic wrap and form it into a very nice large ball. Once your dough is all formed into a ball, you're actually gonna take a pastry cutter and you're gonna split it into half so that half of it can go for the bottom and half of it can go for the top. So this, you do not need to chill after you've put the crust together because you're gonna chill the entire pie once you kind of have it formed. And again, I'm just using my rolling pin to do the rolling pin trick and stick my pie bottom crust into the bottom of the pie plate. Once I had the pie crust fully in, I cut off any excess edges and then added my apple filling. You can see what all that resting does. It gives it a great, nice, juicy coating of all the sugary goodness on top. Now I took my other ball of dough and I cut off a small piece. I'll show you what I'm going to be using that for in a minute. And I rolled it out as well. And I took my dough cutter and I started to cut about, I would say, 1/2 inch strips. Maybe they're inch strips. But if you do not have a dough cutter, you can use a pizza cutter. It'll work the same. And then I started to place them across the pie in one direction and then just braided in the lattice of the other direction. And I trimmed off any excess dough around the edges. Now we're gonna go to the other smaller piece of dough that I chopped off. And what I did was I used my cutouts that I got from my Annapolis trip. And if you missed that haul, I will link it down below. But I got these wonderful fall-inspired cutouts. And I used them to just decoratively place around the pie. You don't have to do this if you don't want to. I just thought it would add a fun fall flair and give it some nice Thanksgiving vibes. After you get your entire pie together, you're gonna put it back into the fridge for 30 minutes to chill. And you're gonna preheat your oven at 400 degrees. You're gonna put your pie in there for 20 minutes at 400 degrees. And then you're gonna drop your temperature down to 350 degrees and have it in there for about 40 to 50 minutes. So thank you so very much for checking out this video and my channel. I always appreciate it. If you are new around here and you would like to subscribe, please consider doing so. Give this video a thumbs up, and I really hope that these little pie bake with me tutorials helped give you some inspiration for your Thanksgiving dinner. I hope that you all have a wonderful Thanksgiving. I'm so thankful for you, and I pray that your life and your family is blessed this Thanksgiving season. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys real soon. Bye.